Alrighty, got a whole bunch of random junk. Some of this was up the side of the driveway. These have been all the box thorn. You'll notice a lot of them, it's actually stumps. So I've kicked those out because they're going rotted off at ground level. So it's sort of good to finally get rid of some of these. I want to talk a little bit about, I watched Chrome again the other night, you know, City Van Life or whatever it is again. Some of the things you're going to have to get ready for is changes. I would like to say, Bob Wells, congratulations at creating a great big forum and a great big audience, so obsessed with saving $5 that you've caused everyone to do things in an unhygienic, fucked up manner. Bucket chitters. You all know the chitters. The bucket chitters. You know what I'm talking about. And their Chrome is telling everybody, oh, this is one of the things you're going to have to get used to when you're in a van. What is it with all these people going into vans who are going in on a hobo level? Like, how many of them have got, like, cheap shit polystyrene containers, like that one, but no Peltier fridge, no compressor fridge? Okay, I understand. They cost a bit of money. You don't get them things at the drop of a hat because they cost a bit. But there's people who, fucking 2 years in, they're still using that. Some of them have got 120 amp hours, even 200 amp hours of batteries, and they're still using a polystyrene container. You got more than enough for a fridge. Fuck me drunk, you know? I'm using like 120 amp hours to do that Peltier, and Peltiers are mongrels when it comes to fucking power usage. But they're cheap as shit. And even your compressor fridges now are coming down to a few $100s each. You know? So long as you have that heavy cabling, which it shouldn't be a problem because you're not going very long distances. You're not trying to go from, you know, fucking out here somewhere to in there somewhere. You know, it's only inside a vehicle. These compressor fridges are getting damn cheap to the point you wouldn't even bother with a Peltier. There's another thing that now that I've got a big data plan, I should put this up. On my main channel, I experimented with Peltier being directly ran from solar. No battery at all. And I experimented with that. And there's quite a few videos on those experiments, at least a half a dozen videos or so. So anyway, back to the old bucket chitter. Isn't it funny how all these people are all obsessed with shitting in a bucket? Once again, save a couple of dollars in the short term. You know, it's like, it's not off-grid life, it's Stone Age life. It's fucking 1920s life. You know, buckets of water and just buckets and fucking planks and a couple of screws, and that's all you got, and your entire life is made up around things based on that. You know, fucking hell, you know. You know, we've come a little bit further. And this is the thing. We've got such a thing called a Portapotty. Now, I have one sitting in there. It's actually still in the box. It's never been used. I bought it brand new. I think it was it early this year or late last year, something. You know what they are. Proper. I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting a Chinese knockoff. I've seen really cheap Chinese knockoffs of these that are literally half the price, less than half the price, I think. You know, and that's your, here it is down there. There's your bigger picture. You know, there's nothing like one of those. That's the 165, that's a bit bigger than the other 85 or whatever the hell it is. The other one's fairly small for a lousy couple dollars extra, maybe a lousy 20-30 bucks more. You're better with a bigger one like that. I got that on discount, and I was glad to find out it was the bigger one later when I looked it up on the internet. And here you are with these people. Well, I've got a bucket, but then there's a bag in the bucket, and then there's a piss jug with a funnel, and I've got to, and you make sure you know, or I've got a bag that's actually a double bag that's expensive used for shitting in, and then I put another bag inside that, or I put 2 freezer bags inside this other particular bag, which is designed to shit in, you know. It's like, holy smoke, so you're telling me you got 4 bags in there? Yeah, that's 4 bags. 2 which stay in there for, you know, a month plus at a time, you know, and you just, well, what you got to do is you got to try and get your piss in a like a fucking a jug or a water container of some type, you know, even the big Gatorades, and then you got to get your shit in the bag. You ever had diarrhea? I know one person who, you know, a female who apparently mentioned to me that they have very good control over each side, which is surprising considering blasted smoke's blowing back in the building here, which is surprising considering what I've heard about women. But you know, last time I had some a bit rough, and even if I leave going to the toilet, not when I initially feel like it, but I've still got to do this and do that, and you know, put something on the stove or whatever, and I'll go in 5 minutes, and then when you go and you're busting, you can't hold and then piss and then close that off and then shit. Like with me, I sit down and fucking the whole lot's going, you know, all at once. Why? Because you're busting, or because you've eaten something rough and it's just blasting out. It's not as firm as it generally is. And so what they're basically sitting there saying is, well, you know how we want you to do it. We want you to piss into this Gatorade bottle, this fruit jug, whatever, as you're holding on, and then shit. And what's the chances you're trying to do that and you'll shit your pants? And for what? Just so you can make sure you put the poop in a bag and the piss in a bottle? And I've got no real problem with piss jugs, you know, I understand them fully, you know. And, you know, there's a lot of times I'm just out here pissing on the grass, make no bones about it, you know. Oh man, it's just off you go, you know. And it is what it is, you know. So what? It's only grass, and it's no big deal, you know. But this whole idea of trying to, you know, I can understand pulling up to a park, no one else is around, just empty the bottle out in the grass. No one knows the damn difference. But what are you going to do with poop in a bag? Well, I can't go throwing this directly in the top of a public bin, and you know, they built a whole system for sewerage, but fuck that, we'll just put it in landfill. So there's too many people around, I don't want to be seen putting a shit bag in there. So I'll wait till later on at night at Walmart, by which point you got 2 shit bags, and then you're creeping up behind some business or behind the Walmart, looking around for Walmart employees to throw them in. So this is a restricted area, no one except employees are allowed in here, and then you get busted by a security guard holding 2 bags of shit as you're trying to chuck them into a fucking dumpster behind Walmart or behind McDonald's. And what about the poor fucking hobos who go through dumpsters looking for food, some of whom aren't fully mentally functioning because they never were to begin with, or drug issues, and they're going through looking for food, and you've put your shit bags in amongst dumpsters that they're looking for food in. They're fucking disgusting. Meanwhile, you could have gone and bought one of them things, and you disconnect the little thing on the bottom, you walk straight into the public toilet. You don't even need to get your hands dirty. I'd be wearing gloves anyway, but that's just me. You swing the little bloody funnel thing out. It's actually a pipe that's like a 90-degree bend, and there's a seal. It's fully, properly waterproof sealed, but it moves. So you turn that from the bottom and swing it out, and you take your little cap off, and you just go and empty it out. Now you're supposed to refill it with water, give it a slosh around, and empty again. Hey, you know, if you want to do that, yeah, do that. But this is, I mean, they've almost been designed not to use gloves because they're so well set up, you know, and it's not the cops pull you up. We hear you've been selling drugs in this van, or we suspect there's a drug dealer down here. We're going to look through your van. What's that? Oh, well, that's my bucket full of shit. Versus, that's a porta potty. You've got something that's approved under Australian standards, European standards, American standards, standards all over the world, that does a job, has passed all the specifications to do a job, has very expensive, properly made seals in there that, you know, keep the damn stuff in. They even keep the smells in, and it all just plays ball because it's built for purpose by a proper factory, designed by engineers, signed off by plumbers and every other damn standard you could imagine that needs to be signed off. And it's not a problem. And here they are saying, you know, Robert Witham is sitting there talking with Bob Wells, and they're saying, well, it can actually stink, so even when you get the bag and you tie a fucking knot or a double knot in the top of your 2 bags, the smell still comes out. And you're joking, the smell's still coming out and you've got to sleep amongst that? No smell comes out of a porta potty. Why? It's properly sealed, built for purpose. And how much legality is there? Not that I'm really one pushing for legality, but throwing sewage into landfill. You know, I've seen all the things that we can't throw into landfill here. Asbestos is one of them. Sewage is another one. Sheep guts is another one. That's what we can't put in our personal household bins here. You know. And isn't that funny? That was blowing back inwards first of all, and now it's going over the fucking roof. Must be a bit of a... Wind's still going the same way. Somehow instead of going in, it's going over. It's not good condensation. But this is the thing, like, you know, you don't have to sneak around making sure that the public bin's low enough, or there's no security guards hanging around the back of McDonald's or Walmart when you're trying to throw this stuff in their bin, because people don't like you necessarily throwing stuff in their bins. You know, you're not looking out for employees of McDonald's or Walmart or anything. You go to a public toilet built by the government and empty this thing. And here we have dump points. Now you might have to pay for a dump point in the States. We don't here. Why? I don't know. It might be to stop people dropping shit everywhere. You don't pay for them. In fact, they're federally government funded, and there's towns that haven't even forked out of their own tax base because the federal government installs it for them. they're happy to have one. In fact, even though I'm sort of out in a place that isn't really known to have a lot of tourists, the next town up the road has a dump point. So I am approximately 7 miles or so from an actual official dump point. You know, that then goes out onto a golf course. And, well, the sewage system for that town is intertwined with keeping the golf course green, and of course they thought it might be a good idea to mount a dump point right at the front of the sewage works. So, you know, but this is the thing, you know, you're sitting there with all these people trying to do all this funny, strange shit, trying to not sort of, you know, oh, well, I've got to just hide these bags and empty them once a month. They've got to do this like every day, every second day. The fuck? That porta potty I got, that isn't the biggest one. In fact, that's the second smallest one. There's a smaller one and then there's it. You can go for a week on that thing. You can do everything on that thing for a week. And it's none of this, oh, well, I've got to... You piss in it and you shit in it. No trying to separate things. No trying to stalk around hiding these bags to throw them in a bin. No bags that still let off a smell even after you double tied them. All using officially government-provided points. No secrecy, and really speaking, no embarrassment related with that secrecy. And what's it all for? What is it all for? Well, I only spent $5 on this bucket and $15 on this fucking, you know, luggable lid or whatever the fuck it is, you know, basically a toilet seat. And then I've got to keep using up all my shopping bags or go and buy higher quality bags versus just forking out once for something that's built for purpose, that no roadside inspection cops are going to question, that just does the fucking job. No questions of anything leaking, bags with holes in it, your dollar store bags are too cheap. Fuck all that, you know. And what? Why? Why fucking do it? So you can feel patriotically proud that you saved $80 or less and done something the hard way continuously. It's like me buying this fucking thing versus spending the rest of my days washing clothes in a bucket, which is another thing that a lot of them do. They love washing all their clothes in a bucket, and I got no qualms about that. In fact, my uncle used to do that here. But it's a little bit hard. I found a device which I ended up throwing out, which I should have kept actually. I think it was just a little Japanese-made device from the 80s. And it was basically like a bucket, like a 5-gallon bucket, but it had an actual rotator in the bottom, like an agitator. That's what I meant to say in the bottom. You see all these guys, they're getting all these buckets and shake your clothes up. And as my uncle used to tell me, you can do it, but it really doesn't do it properly. It's only a half-ass wash. Or you can buy something, like a sew. All these things all come off it, you know, all the leg bits and that. The other thing is, if you're a smart enough cookie, and you know how to keep the damn lid on, and there's ways and means that you can use the right sort of a clamping system to keep a 5-gallon bucket lid on, then you could make one of those up. Have any of these people made up a copycat of that thing? No. Have any of them bought one of those? No. Those things actually work fairly well. You can't go too fast because you'll centrifugal force the water out to the sides. You've got to keep it at a certain pace. It's got a manual. It tells you the exact pace you've got to turn it. And if you're a real lazy bastard, I reckon you could put a chain drive on this thing and run it off probably a, I don't know, maybe a 20, 30 watt motor. You could run that thing and you wouldn't even need to turn the damn handle. How many people are going to do that? How many people are going to get something like this and copycat it? You know, Fucking none. What about this thing? This here is the lid. If you're not worried about 5-gallon buckets, this is the lid off a spare one that I've got that I'm probably going to use at the laundry. This is what actually I made moonshine in this. There's a thing there for the bubbler, and that one was the insertion of the heater. But this is the thing, you know, threaded with a rubber ring in the bottom. You know, there's another one I've got in here. Some of these other ones, the cheaper ones, they've got it's almost like a car door seal. It's not just a solid piece of rubber, it's almost like a hollow, circular fucking ring like that. And, give me a little light here. There you go, another one there. There's a bit of wood sitting in there from cutting plywood when I done the... But that's just, you know, another threaded one with a seal. Anybody using that? No. There's another method that, you know, they're all sitting there. How the fuck are these people experts if you've got Bob Wells sitting there saying, well, you've got ribs in the van. Well, at least in the GMC. What are you talking about? Even cars have ribs in the roof. They all have ribs. He's looking at the ribs on the roof. It's not just cargo vans in the back. It's fucking everything. Cars, hell, even pickup trucks sort of have one in the back part. You know, they're too short a cabin often to really need one. But, you know, they can easily have one in the back against the back window. You know, they've all got ribs in the roof. Otherwise, you'd roll the vehicle and the fucking roof would just cave in like a fucking tin can. You know? Oh, well, I don't know if these are... Hang on a minute, are you a van expert or fucking what? How can you not know about ribs on the roof and the side of vehicles? It's all vehicles. It's people movers. It's sedans. It's station wagon. They all got it. SUVs. Yeah, they all got it. They all got ribs in the roof. You know, there's another thing my parents said. What you can actually do is put your clothes and your detergent and your water in a bucket, and you go down an unsealed road, and after 20 minutes of going down an unsealed road, your clothes will be clean. I have never seen that mentioned on his channel. Might be mentioned in the forum, but, you know. In fact, when you actually look at it, there's almost zero mentioned about laundry on his channel. I don't think there's anything mentioned on his channel about it. And he had a look at his playlists. God, blimey, the guy can't set up a playlist correctly. Several playlists there are identical, or close to. A couple of them have got videos repeated. Anyway, I really just come on to sort of say, like, why do this shit? Why be so proud of saving $50, $80, and then sit there trying to secretly hide all these fucking poop bags from the cops, from members of the public that are around as you're trying to throw these in the bin? Why fucking do this, you know? Why go like this? Why sit there going, well, I've got to piss, but I'm about to shit my pants, so I've got to hold my butt cheeks together so I don't fucking... Because I need to keep one in the bottle and the other one in the bag that's in the bucket. Fuck me drunk, you know. It's just overcomplicating the shit out of things to save yourself almost no money. And that's no different to me using a bucket to wash clothes versus doing it a better way. There's better ways out there, you know. There's people with fridges instead of wasting money on ice. There's people with porta-potties instead of trying to hide poop in bags as you're trying to throw it into a bin and then buying more bags and then only 1 turd per bag, and so you've got to do this every day instead of once a week, you know? If you were to use a combination porta-potty and a piss jug and you empty the piss jug on the grass, that thing could potentially go you 2 weeks. And the worst you done was just pour some piss on the grass. You didn't have to pay for a dump point because you just go into a public toilet and you empty it into it. How do I know? It says it's fine. It says it's fucking fine in the book. It says you can empty it into septics. Oh, but you've got to pay for chemical. If you're a dickhead, you'll buy the Thepford one. If you're a smart cookie, you're like me, you buy the aftermarket one. You get a whole year's worth for about $45 US. Ah, yeah. And let's face it, how much are we going to spend on fucking bags if you've got to buy high quality bags and double bag every turd? How much are we going to spend on bags? But I'm saving money. No, you're not. You had to buy a bunch of bags. Instead of $45 a year, I think it was actually 44 Australian dollars, which would work out about bloody $32 US for an entire year's worth of chemical. I didn't have to buy chemical. Yeah, but you had to buy like about 350 bags times 2. So that would be 700 bags, so you could basically have a shit every day. They're lost the forest for the trees in their strive to save $5.